willing to go. You
Right.
do I pick?
No.
You
Just
should.
go with the flow. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, let me sit down there. Yeah, with me knackered. I've got arthritis in my groin because I'm getting fucking old. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Digging Deep with Doug. Today I've got a special guest on. This guy here is called Sean Collins. Some of you may have seen him on the telly and stuff. You've done quite a bit of telly work, haven't you?
Yeah, not my last was 2013. So you get to a certain age and they just kind of stop.
Cut you off.
Yeah.
So me coming in the comedy late has just sort of ruined the chances of ever getting telly. But to be honest, Sean, you don't need the telly in this game. You know, you can make a decent living on the circuit. And what I've said as well is there's a handful of comedians that are regularly on the telly, but there's thousands on the circuit, aren't there? And they're making a decent living from it. So it depends what your aim is, you know.
Well, social media is, you're your own boss. So if you can embrace it, and if you can get something going, you can do very well.
Well, that's another thing as well, because you're like, I've just turned 50. Are you 53? Are you
58.
58, you old bastard.
I know.
Yeah. Well, look at this here. You're 58, and a lot of people over 50, over 40, quite a lot of them, they won't dip their toe into social media because they're born from a generation of the way comedy worked back in the day, and they're not rolling with the punches. Whereas you've embraced it, haven't you? And I think online you've got nearly 500,000 followers just on Facebook, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, it's all based on fear. I saw it coming, and I got a young person to help me. That's the key.
Right.
So he loved my stuff, and he said, Sean, you got to edit the clips. People have a shorter attention span now, so make your clips shorter. I'm a storyteller, so it's harder to do that for my bits, but I learned how to do that and be more punchy. We live in a world now where people don't have the attention span of a fucking gnat, so...
No, that's right. Well, there's a bit I do on stage that's about 2.5, 3 minutes long about finding porno mags in bushes. But the actual bit that I do on stage is, like I say, about 3 minutes long. But when I done it on TikTok, I thought, right, get rid of all the fat and bring it down to just the bare bones. And it done like 250,000 views, and I was like, fucking hell, all because if I'd have done it longer, people would have just fucking halfway through scrolled past it. So it's finding that attention span with people, isn't it, to get them to keep
people
them.
do this. That's,
Yeah.
That's the world we live in now. They watch and they go like this.
Yeah.
So you got about 30 seconds and
To grip them. It's all about the first words as well sometimes, but yeah. Well, I actually gigged with Sean last year, September, October, I think it was.
And he did very well.
Yeah, I was standing on the shoulder of giants because I used to watch this guy before I started comedy, because I like his style, you know, like the storytelling style, and that's what I wanted to go down. So you watch people that you don't want to copy them, but you've got a similar style, don't you? So when I gigged you, I was absolutely buzzing, and you gave me a lovely tip that night as well, which was nice. So it's been on Michael McIntyre's Comedy Roadshow, Comedy Central. Was it how many times?
I did the Comedy Store television show, I think 5 times, and
Fucking hell, man.
I had an hour special in Canada, and I did the Just for Laughs Gala, which was a big deal in Canada as well. So, but again, it all dried up in 2013. So,
But you're still going.
oh yeah, I'm
Still
enjoying
getting
it
a lot of
more
gigs.
now. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, and you never know. Things, well, it's dips and troughs as well, isn't it? Some people sometimes, if it seems to dip off a lot, but you've embraced the internet now, and you're doing really well on there. So fair play. You know, you're never too old.
Just got to make sure you don't get hacked or you don't get fucking.
That's just happened
canceled.
to someone, isn't it? Spiky Mike. He's just lost his account. I think it's Spiky Mike anyway. So he can't get on his account for a minute. And imagine that would be like losing an arm.
You have to, you need to be very careful. I get constant messages of people just trying to get me to click on them in order to steal it. So I know what to look for now. And
I don't click on any links.
you need 2-factor authentication. Make sure you have that.
Yeah. See, he knows his shit. You know what I mean? Right.
Spiky Mike.
Yeah. Do you know much about this then?
I have no idea, but I'm excited.
Right, all it is, 15 minutes, quick fire questions, yeah? If you can answer the question, answer the question. If you can't, don't worry about it. If you go off on a tangent on a question, you might have one question for 15 minutes. Doesn't matter, yeah?
Right.
And then at the end, if you've got anything you want to plug, we can plug it. But yeah, don't be scared to go off. If you can't think of anything, we can move on. And then if something comes, just jump straight back on it, yeah? One take, straight in. You ready?
Right. Yeah, man.
Okay. Well, we'll start off. I'll click this. You can pick the first question. I'll read it out and then we'll go from there, yeah? So there you go. You can see everything is mixed up. We don't know what's coming out. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
15 minutes starting now. Here we go. Sound. Put my goggles on. So, your most reoccurring dream.
Holy fuck. You know what? I don't know if I have a... I'm going to have to say I don't have reoccurring dreams. I actually don't dream much anymore. I think it's quite bizarre. I used to dream more, and I think since I've given up the booze and I've given up everything else and living a...
You can say what everything else is. You've got no problems on here with me.
Believe me, if I didn't have to give it up, I wouldn't have given it up. I'm not one of these people that talks about their drug days and goes, I should never have done it. I fucking loved it.
Same.
I loved pills. I loved it all. I loved everything.
Did you find you had lucid dreams more with that sort of thing than...
I don't know. Maybe as I get older, because I don't sleep long enough to have dreams or don't get into that state, and but yeah, I don't really have a reoccurring dream, so I'm gonna have to...
That's all right.
Fucking pass on
Mine
that.
was, I used to fly.
I love flying.
But if I thought, I hate flying, I'm scared of heights, but in my dreams, the harder I thought, the further I could fly, and then I'd have to clear my mind of thought to land, and then when I land to speak to someone, my mind would start wandering. I'd find myself holding things.
Did you have to flap to fly, or
no?
Was it
was just how I thought, and then I just took off. Just weird shit. Maybe that was the mushrooms. Yeah. Right. Okay.
I said that before.
Yeah, quite a few times. If you were a criminal, what would be your crime of choice?
I think it would be sort of cybercrime. I would like to be able to do it without leaving my home.
Yeah, no one even...
Yeah.
There's some people that have made billions from that, though, haven't they? That have managed to tap into... People have done life over nicking from banks through cybercrime. It's fucking mental. No, would you not like to do a bank?
Well, my favorite criminal from a show is Raymond Reddington. I don't know if you've watched that show. You haven't watched Raymond Reddington?
No.
Oh, you got to watch The Blacklist and see him. Oh, fuck. It's so good. That's the kind of criminal mastermind I'd like to be.
Because the guy out of Catch Me If You Can, he was... I like that sort of stuff. You know, the fraudulent... He was travelling the
Based
whole...
on a true story.
Yeah. What was his name as well? I can't remember now, but it was Leonardo DiCaprio that played it, wasn't it? But there was they done a show on there, like a double Jeopardy show, where he had to go on. I don't think it was double Jeopardy.
He was overly brilliant because he was able to learn everything. Just like, I think, didn't he do surgery for a while? He also did this, that, and he just learned it from reading books and giving it a go.
And watching people.
Yeah,
like the flights, he'd get to go wherever he wanted in the world, wouldn't he? Just through pretending to be a pilot. Yeah, I just need to jump on and go. Because he knew the terminology and that, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he knew about the checks, how many times he had to stamp the letter in the same place, and he'd go over it and over it and over it and over it. Fucking hell. That, I like that. Fall in the system, something like that. And in a way, it's kind of a victimless crime because it's the big people.
Taken from the man.
Yeah. Fuck you, the man. Right, okay. Next. What's the weirdest thing a guest has ever done in your house?
Oh, fuck. Well, you have to understand, too, that we're going to have to be talking about... It was during the drug years. So
Never.
Yeah. I would say... Yeah, but it's pretty much me that always does the weird
That's
things.
all right. You're more than welcome to be the weird one in this.
Let's see. Oh, me and the missus, we used to do so much weird shit when we were high. Let's see, Barry Castanola. Okay. Here's a. No, I won't do it. Forget I said his name. But me and a mate. Can you edit that out?
No.
Okay. I'll do a weird story. I can't do that one. That was Barry. I'll do a weird thing that happened one time. Is Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Have you ever been?
A few times, yeah.
All right.
Since
Okay, well,
1997.
we were performing in Glastonbury, and I ended up doing acid and mushrooms, which is a weird combination because they kind of get angry that you don't have faith in them, so they start battling each other, and I was really off my face, and I thought I was on a 10 at night, and it turned out I walked by the tent, and I was on at 10 in the morning, so I was on a massive come down, and walked by the tent. I just saw my name, and I said, "No, I'm on at 10 at night." And the guy looks at the chalkboard. He was just the tent door guy, and he went, "It's not what the board says." And I said, "Well, I can't go on at 10 in the morning. I'm like fucked. I've been up all night partying." And he said, "I made this pill in my basement, and it seems to work for me." So I just took it without even thinking, right? And it did. It worked. I went up on stage. When I finally came down and went back to my tent, I was so fucking tired. I stripped off, got in my sleeping bag, went to doze off, and just as I'm dozing off, the tent flap opened, and this guy just pokes his head in and goes, "What are you doing?" And I went, "I'm going to sleep, man." And he goes, "This isn't your tent." And I went, "Oh, sorry." And I go, "You're probably going to be angry because I'm naked." And he goes, "You got your testicles in my sleeping bag?" And I said, "Yeah."
It wasn't even yours. Oh, no, why would it be your sleeping bag?
Exactly.
Fucking hell, man.
So it was just so I had to get up and get dressed and apologize to him. But you could see that he was not going to comfortably sleep in the sleeping bag knowing that my scrotum was all over it. Right? Which is a weird thing that guys don't want.
I got caught having a shit in a bush in Glastonbury. I got caught short. I was peeling my nut off. And we just walked past some toilets, and I was like, "I've got to go." But we were going towards the healing fields, and there was this like little wooded area, but I didn't realise there was like stalls. You had a main track, and then it went off, and there were stalls both sides, but there was a bit of a bush, and there was a bench. So I've gone behind the bench, and I couldn't help it. I mean, I didn't want to be shitting in the bush, but you know, it was either that or any little cough or sneeze, and I was shitting myself. And I've leant down behind this bench, and a guy's come over with a camera going, "I'm sick of people pissing in my..." Oh my God, he's taking a shit, like that. But I was mid shit, you know, it was still coming out of me, and I was thinking, fuck, like trying to cover my face. I was going, I'm sorry. So I ended up having to pull my trousers up and run off mid shit. And, well, obviously I shit myself. So, yeah, that wasn't good, having to walk back to your campsite and we were camping in the caravan field, so it was a good mile and a half away, fucking distance, man. But I've had some messy Glastonburys, really messy. So, fucking good festival though.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I don't think my knees can take it anymore. What song artist do you think everyone should know about? Singer or an artist that you think, fucking hell, who do you love?
Do you know what? I'm going to go with a Canadian band, and everyone should know Loverboy.
Loverboy?
Yeah.
I've never heard of them.
Really?
No, yeah. But I'm going to after this. After this, that's what I'm going to do. There's two things now I need to ask you about. One, the guy whose name you mentioned earlier that we can't talk about on here, so we're going to talk about it afterwards. Yeah, and Loverboy. So there you go. This is the thing. It's not just for you, mate. This is for me. You know, I'm getting into your head.
I put some Loverboy on right now, and I'll bet you'll recognize the song.
If you put Loverboy on now, there's a chance they may.
I know.
Yeah. So go and Google Loverboy after this.
Canadian band from the 80s. Great.
What sort of music? Soft rock or?
I'll play it to you afterwards.
All right.
Let's let everybody look for it.
Did they have any tunes?
Yeah, you'll know that. Working for the Weekend, Turn Me Loose. Just try those out and you'll see why.
All right. So, in fact, it was at Glastonbury a few years ago. Can you remember Crowded House?
Yeah.
Out of all the bands that were on for the whole weekend, they stole the show. Him, I don't know
Right.
how old he is now. He didn't miss a beat. He didn't miss a note. He was fucking... And you know when you're just in awe of someone like that? He was fucking. That was.
Do you
that
know
guy.
what? Do you remember the band they just became in the late '80s, early '90s when they wanted to stop being Crowded House? The band that they became,
No.
Split Ends.
What? And then they went back to Crowded House, or
Look up Split Ends, and you're gonna listen to them and go, "That's fucking Crowded House." And it was. They just decided to tour under the name Split Ends. And they did completely different music.
not even the same music.
No.
Fucking hell.
And
Yeah,
it was good too.
Yeah, he was amazing. When I seen him there, I was in awe.
See, now you gotta look up Split Ends.
Split Ends, yeah. This is full of like.
And that's the Crowded House guy.
Yeah. After the gig research, isn't it? After the gig, you know what I mean. I'm a bit hanging as well today because I went out for my birthday yesterday and I got a little bit messy. So yeah, I'm sweaty and everything, but we're doing all right. So, who is your favourite comedian?
I would say it's a toss-up between George Carlin and Richard Pryor.
See, I know that it's a bit. Well, it's not even cliche, is it? A lot of people say Richard Pryor, but I suppose that's like. Before I got into comedy, the one person, he was the master, weren't he? There wouldn't have been no Eddie Murphy and no Chris Rock or any of these. They probably would have, but
then Red Fox was before him. If you haven't heard Red Fox from Sanford and Son,
yeah.
So Richard Pryor, sort of, have a look at. Now you got to look up Red Fox. I'm giving you all these fucking.
Yeah,
facts.
but when I read the book of Richard Pryor as well, when he first started in comedy, he was an act, weren't he? And
he
then
was
over
very
time,
Bill Cosby-like, and then
he came into himself, didn't he? And he was like, "I'm going to talk about me and what I've done." And you read his book, you hear about some of the shit he's been through. He's led. How the fuck can someone that's had such a dark life turn that into such funny humour? It should. And in fact, there's a couple of bits I do. There's a bit I do about my prostitute auntie, and that I class as something that I think he'd have done because I made a joke out of it, but the truth is pretty dark. And he's that guy, isn't he? He's like, I'm going to make humour out of the fucking darkest shit out there.
Red Fox is one of his albums that I grew up with. It was called "You Gotta Wash Your Ass." And this was in the '60s. That's the name of the album. '50s or '60s. You Gotta Wash Your Ass.
And it's still out there.
Oh fuck! Red Fox was legend.
Mate, I'm going to have to watch this back, write everything down, and I'm going to have so much research after this. Well, we've got 4 minutes left.
You're going to listen to Loverboy when we get
Yeah,
there.
I am. Yeah. If you could be born in any era, which would it be and why?
I would have liked to have been born. I'll tell you, I would have liked to have been in the '60s. I would have liked to have been in my 20s, so I'm going to say in the '40s, because I would like to have been a young man in my 20s, entering that time of music, which is
peace and love,
Beatles and all that.
Yeah.
When marijuana started, was just new.
And the psychedelics.
Yeah.
That was the big. The '60s was the big explosion, weren't it?
Yeah. So I would have liked to have been around 18 going into that, and absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would like to have been sort of born after World War II. We'll say.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a few people saying that like drugs are bad and this, that, and the other. You'll die young if you take drugs, but how many people that were smashing it in the '60s are now fucking old as fuck and still alive, and they were hitting it hard.
Yeah, and I'm not really worried about my 80s and 90s because I'd rather have lived my life and
Fucking right.
I have no problem with partying, and I tell all the young people that don't, I say, look, you're 20 now, do it now, man.
Yeah.
I think everyone should do psychedelics, but that's just...
I think there's a place for most drugs out there. Here's the thing, right? Like you've got some people that are totally anti-drugs. I remember being a kid and you'd have a picture of like a joint and a needle, and it was like, don't take drugs. And there's such a big gap between them two. Cannabis is the gateway drug. It fucking ain't. Tobacco's the gateway drug. You take tobacco and then go on to that, And like we were saying earlier as well, alcohol is bad. I think there's a place for everything.
They're finding out now, look up nicotine, that there's actually positives to nicotine.
Yeah?
That they demonized nicotine.
Well, so I read as well ages ago, there was a government, I can't remember whoever it was, the Labour government, but they got someone in to test ecstasy to try and make it
Oh, I would love to have been involved in that.
Yeah, but this guy, he came back. They wanted to make it like a bad drug and put it out there saying don't take it. And he come back going, no, it's actually all right. It's not the best drug for your system, and they didn't like it, so they fucking they cancelled him, and then he went rogue, and he was like, no, MDMA, it's a fucking good one.
You
So
should see online in the 60s, they gave the British military acid, and they filmed them. A documentary on it.
Have you seen Jacob's Ladder?
Yeah.
The film? Yeah, well, that's meant to be about like, the berserkers, isn't it, from Vietnam and stuff like that, where they fed them acid and they fucking went mental, but then when they come back, they went even more mental on the streets and stuff. But yeah, it's fucking crazy, isn't it? Right, next. What's your favourite pizza topping?
I like a pepperoni, green pepper, and onion pizza.
Do you?
Yeah.
I'm a pepperoni and green pepper guy. Green and red pepper. I don't mind red peppers as well, but not spicy peppers.
Yeah.
I'll actually replace some pepperoni to have peppers. That's fucking mad. Happy days.
Now I feel like it.
Right, last question.
All right.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
In this industry?
Anything. Something that just fucking winds you up in life.
All right. Compares that go way too long.
As in how long?
Like if they're supposed to do 10 minutes off the top and 10 minutes in between and it's marked out and they do 20 off the top and then in between when the show's already long and it's a very long show, they're supposed to bring you right up and they'll do another 20 or 25, not realizing that you're sucking the life out of it, because I believe a show has a time limit. I believe that there's a certain point where a show gets too long and you're putting too much pressure. For me, a good compare is if everybody has a good night, including the compare, that means he's done a good job.
Yeah.
But a lot of compares, I think, not a lot, but some of them will try to be the highlight of the show, and that's not your job. Like I used to compare, and I used to know that, you know, there are times where you've got to not let your foot off the gas, but realize that, you know, there's other people on the show that you're responsible to make sure that everyone has a good night, and a lot of them don't do that. So there's one comedian in this country that I almost killed him because he made me miss my train back, so I had to get a hotel. And I know maybe you don't know who I'm talking about, but everyone knows him in the UK. And he just you could say to him, look, just do 5. And there was one time where the promoter came up and said, just do 5, because Sean's got to get back, and he did 30.
No.
Yeah, and I just thought, you know, like in a perfect world, I should be able to punch you in that.
Right. You used to like that, didn't you?
Yeah.
You used to be a bit of a fucking gooer as well, didn't you? Yeah. See, I know more about you than you fucking realise. See, it's mad you should say that as well, because like, I'm just now starting to get into MCing. I trained myself with it last year. I used to hide behind my material. So I do like 80% material, 20% crowd work. But I'll always stay between... that's that finished, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'd always try and stay between 10 and 15. So like if I looked at my watch and I was at 10 or 11, I'll then give the rules and bring someone on. But someone said to me, like you just said then, the show's not about you. You're there to get the audience warm and ready for each act. You're not meant to be the funniest on the bill. Because I've had it before.
But sometimes you can be, but just do it in your time.
Yeah. But Ricky did it to me once. He MC'd and he was riffing that well. I'd come on opening and we felt a little dip. And he went, I didn't really do. And I mean, I know there's no rules to it, but he says, I should have really done a joke before I brought you on because you're doing jokes. And I know some people are like, it doesn't matter. But in the second section, he did. He riffed off the crowd, had a great time. And then he did a joke before he brought the middle act on. And it just seemed to work. And he went, I'm glad I did that to you because we were mates. Because if I'd have done that to someone I didn't know, I'd have felt like I'd have stole their thunder a bit. And I was like, yeah, it is what it is. But he learned from that and I learned from that. It's not about the compare. Get them warm. There's even been stuff where I've wanted to get another joke out, but I've got such a nice laugh off that one, I thought, now's the time.
Yeah.
And that's when you bring them on, isn't it? But Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's a different beast, isn't it, MCing?
Yeah, but it's gonna do you well because when you're headlining, there are times when you're gonna play
With the crowd.
in your set, and it's nice to have that skill.
Yeah, and I didn't have it before. If someone spoke to me, I'd blip blop, and I've got friends that have turned around. They've gone, "Doug, I like your material, but that's not you. Or that's not the you that I know." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they went, "Well, you know, when someone says something and you just go bang." I said, "I'm not confident enough to do that on stage at the minute, but hopefully at some point I will be." And last year, that was where I did my training, like 20% material, 20% crowd work, 80% material, and I flipped it round. And by May last year, I was at a point where, do you know what? I'm confident now. I know I'm not brilliant. I watched some that are fucking fantastic. Keris Nouns, if he's worked with Keris, she's brilliant. Danny Mack, John Wagstaff, he's fucking brilliant. And so I'm still watching people in awe of what they do. But I'm picking up tips like when you were saying that at the end there, I was taking that shit in, you know. Don't do 30, Doug. Not in front of Sean because he'll slap you about. So
no, my slapping about days are gone. But no, it just makes it fucking difficult. Are we still recording?
Yeah, still recording. One last thing before you do anything. Have you got anything you need to plug? No.
No, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at.
Sean's on Facebook. He's got, like I say, man, he's got nearly 500,000 followers.
There's a lot of clips, so if you want to see it, come
and he does the Comedy Store, and you still do the Comedy Store in London quite a bit.
I'm doing it in August.
Yeah, there you go. Because a lot of your clips are from the Comedy Store, aren't they? So, Sean, thank you very much for this. We're actually going shortly to do a garden gig. This is my first one where I've done with a more than one act on, so it should be fun as well. So, thanks for tuning in, and see you on the next one. Give him a follow. Sean Collins. S-E-A-N.
Yes.
Collins. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, fucking daft.
Yeah, pickled from last night still, anyway. Right, there you go. Simple.